Part 83. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 821. For demigod-level experts, the Chaos Immortal Locking and 10,000 Techniques Forbidden Formation is not a fatal formation. In fact, there are very few formations that can threaten the safety of demigods. At most, they can only temporarily trap them. It is precisely because of this that when the demigods of the Shadow Demon army heard that Xuanhuan wanted to rely on the power of the formation to leapfrog to challenge them, they were all eager to give it a try and wanted to rush forward immediately and take away Xuanhuan's head. Return. For them, even if they are temporarily trapped in the formation, it is only temporary. In this world, they have not seen a formation that can permanently trap or even kill demigods. When they destroy the formation, that human race the summoner is just a piece of meat on the chopping board, and there is no way he can be their opponent. Everyone thought so, even the summoners at Blood Edge Base. Seeing the demigod strongman with the crocodile head rushing into Xuanhuan's formation, the formation shook. Xuanhuan and the strong men around him all frowned, with a trace of worry on their faces. With such a look, everyone's hearts became tense, and everyone nervously watched the situation of the formation. It's a pity that the formation is one of the top formations. Looking from the outside, you can only see the dark sphere outside the formation, and you can only feel that there are people inside the formation fighting fiercely and destroying the formation. However, they were unable to see the specific situation inside the formation in detail. Everyone could only indirectly infer the situation in the formation from the tremors of the formation. Mr. May is overconfident. Even if his formation can temporarily trap the powerful demigod, it will not be able to reverse the gap in strength between the two sides. I didn't expect Mr. May to have such powerful formation skills. It would be a pity for such a talent to die here. Vice Commander, how about? Someone quietly sent a message to Xuanhuan, as if he wanted to rush in to save people when the situation went wrong. Xuanhuan stared at the huge black ball and categorically dismissed the thoughts of others. The rules of the battlefield cannot be broken. Shadow Demon can abide by them, and so can we. Mr. May is not a reckless person. Since he dares to propose such a he must have his own way to challenge. Let's see, if he really falls and is defeated, it will be his fate. Compared with the worries on the human side, the alien army suddenly seemed to be excited. The alien demigods who were not selected by Xuanhuan were gearing up one by one. Some had regrets on their faces, wishing that they were the ones rushing forward at this moment. Your Highness, although Mogulai has only been promoted to demigod for a long time, he has long mastered the laws of the Holy Way, and controls powerful water spells and magical martial arts. His body's defense is close to that of the immortal god. He will definitely be able to control it. Bring back the head of that human summoner. Right next to the Shadow Demon Prince, there was a Tauran demigod with horns on his head, with a sinister smile on his face, and said confidently. The Prince of Shadow Demon was also staring at the formation. Although he looked calm on the surface, there was a hint of doubt in his eyes. Although he also felt that it was impossible for his powerful demigods to lose to the Nine-Sun realm of the human race. Summoner, but the trump card of the human summoner was indeed beyond his expectation, and he actually dared to risk his life to confront the powerful demigod. Such a person is either a madman, an idiot, or a genius, and can master people with this level of array cannot be madmen or idiots. High-level array masters are famous for their meticulous thinking. Could it be that there are some variables? On the battlefield, everyone was waiting with bated breath, waiting for the scene where the demigods of the Shadow Demon army would destroy the formation. In the formation, the demigod with the crocodile head was like a crocodile trapped in the mud of quicksand. He was struggling crazily and outputting destructive power. Every inch around him was frozen like glue, making his whole body clung to the formation. This powerful demigod made the same mistake again and fell into the same situation as the Shadow Demon demigod who was trapped in the formation before. The great formation has turned the power of the five elements into a chaotic quagmire that clings to him, isolating the power of his holy way. If he wants to break out of the formation, he can only use his own divine power and physical strength to activate spells and battles. Skill, a big knife like a door panel appeared in his hand. As he waved his hand, the big knife whined, carrying turbulent blue light waves, with overwhelming momentum, like the waves of the sea, one after another. It blasted towards the surrounding formation, shaking the entire space. The lightning in the formation continued to hit his armor, causing almost no damage. He was confident. Valley. The chaotic, stagnant, and sticky feeling around me had just been pushed back, but in the blink of an eye, it surged forward in all directions, making people suffocating. This feeling was like a person who was trapped in the mud and wanted to push the mud around him away, but in the blink of an eye, mud was pouring in from all directions. If you have the guts. The demigod with the crocodile head wielded his sword and slashed wildly in the formation, roaring wildly, but there was no trace of Xiaopingan, and he was almost going crazy. Suddenly, the crocodile-headed demigod saw Xiaopingan's figure appearing not far away from him. He suddenly emerged from the black barrier of the formation and grabbed him from a distance. Come! The demigod with the crocodile head roared wildly, and without thinking, he swung the knife at Xiaopingan's head. However, just as he was swinging the knife, he suddenly felt that the power in his body was weak, and it was inexplicably missing. Suddenly passed by, and the power of the 1,000 demonic waves combat skill that had just been wielded was suddenly reduced by half. Then that annoying human suddenly retreated back into the black barrier of the formation, letting his broadsword cut through the air. What's going on? Could it be the influence of the formation? The demigod with the crocodile head didn't react for a moment, but the next second, he realized that something was wrong, because Xiaopingan appeared again, changed his position, grabbed him again, and then he passed through the armor on his body, flew out of his body with a chirp, and fell into the hands of the human summoner. With a bang, a bright electric light instantly fell on the demigod with the crocodile head. This time, without the protection of the armor, he finally felt the pain. His face changed. He wanted to urge the armor to fly back, but his holy spirit, however, the weapon armor was contaminated by a bloody light, and instantly lost contact with him. It was taken away by the summoner, and he heard a sentence in his ears. Enjoy it. The next second, the crocodile-headed demigod felt once again that some of the divine power in his body had disappeared inexplicably. He finally changed his expression and felt that something was wrong. A useful method is a good method. After almost using the chaos-locking immortal 10,000 method sealing formation to kill the shadow demon demigod in the formation last time, Xiaopingan has already summed up a set of methods to use the chaos-locking immortal 10,000 method sealing formation to deal with the half-god. God's method is to use the chaos immortal locking and 10,000 technique sealing formation to trap the demigods, and then use his heaven stealing technique to empty out and disarm the powerful demigod's divine equipment. That so-called a strong demigod can only become a tiger trapped in a cage, at his mercy, and become a salted fish on his chopping board. The Chaos Immortal Locking 10,000 Techniques Forbidden Formation is not terrifying, and it is indeed unable to trap a strong demigod to death, but if coupled with his own heaven-stealing technique, the two combined together will have a powerful effect on those powerful demigods. For the reader, it was really terrifying. In the end, coupled with Xiaopingan's excellent strength, it was not difficult to kill a demigod who had little divine power and was trapped in a large formation unable to move. It seems that no one has perfectly integrated the realm beads of the secret method of stealing the sky like myself. Therefore, other people do not know that there is such a weird secret method in the world, so they do not think about how a strong demigod can survive in this great formation. Little by little, I became hopeless and helpless. This tactic may seem a bit unorthodox, but if it can kill the enemy demigod, it will work. Xiaopingan continued to use the heaven-stealing technique from the trapped crocodile-headed demigod. The crocodile-headed demigod's counterattacks became weaker and weaker. In the end, the entire person's divine power was completely exhausted, leaving only the powerful and helpless one. Pai's body was still struggling in the chaos of the formation, roaring in despair, glowing and roaring under the thunder, still trying to break out of the formation with the strength of his body. The invincible Xiaopingan finally appeared in front of the demigod with the crocodile head, and slashed the sacred sword in his hand towards the demigod. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 822. The body of this demigod with the crocodile head is indeed strong enough. Even if his body is pierced, he can quickly heal from such serious injuries. Alas, even if I want to leave you a whole body, I can't. In the formation, Xiaopingan looked at the opponent whose entire body was reduced to ashes under his holy sword, put away his sword, and shook his head slightly. The crocodile-headed demigod's body was all emptied by Xiaopingan, so nothing exploded after killing it. Compared with the first time he killed the shadow demon demigod, Xiaopingan no longer felt so excited about killing this powerful demigod this time. This demigod with the crocodile head is sorry. Now Xiaopingan, I don't even know what this guy's name is. His strength is actually slightly inferior to that of the shadow demon demigod who was killed by Xiaopingan last time, and his trump card is not that rich. Facing Xiaopingan, who has become a god, and Xiaopingan, who has been killed by Xiaopingan's death in response to the strengthened chaos-locking immortal 10,000 techniques, forbidden formation could be described as very frustrating, but it was not surprising at all. Xiaopingan, who had killed his opponent, did not leave the formation, but controlled the formation so that the formation itself was constantly trembling, making it seem to outsiders that a fierce battle was still going on inside the formation, while he himself held on tight. Time begins to repair the formation's array disk. When this demigod with the crocodile head exploded just now, he actually caused some damage to the array structure of the array, but fortunately it was not serious. If this guy is allowed to go crazy for a few more hours, this array will really be damaged. It's going to be destroyed by him. Xiaopingan sat cross-legged in the large formation. With a wave of his hand, the damaged parts of the formation disk and the array device appeared in front of him. Then, various materials for refining the formation disk appeared in the void next to him. Xiaopingan's face was serious, and golden flames suddenly appeared in his hands. 2 plate-sized pieces of Tai black gold flew in front of him, blended into the golden flames, and were quickly melted by the flames. Xiaopingan with another wave of his hands were wrapped by the melted Tai black gold with divine power. The semi-god level divine power was surging, squeezing, and fusing the internal structure of Tai black gold with strong pressure, making this ball of Tai black gold. The internal structure experienced a strange contraction and collapse, and the volume suddenly shrank by twice, but the weight suddenly increased by more than 10 times. The Tai black gold became dazzling. Later, Xiaopingan covered the cracked formation disk with the Tai black gold, allowing the formation disk to absorb, repair and strengthen. The formation disk that absorbed the Tai black gold suddenly returned to its original state, and became even more powerful. Solid. This Tai black gold is the key material that allows the formation to isolate the power of the 5 elements. As the instructions changed, hundreds of mysterious golden formation symbols were struck on the formation plate. The next second, Xiaopingan took out a large handful of thunder talismans that he had refined before and threw them into the formation again. Xiaopingan is completing the repair of this large array disk at a dizzying speed. From a distance, it looks like there are 7 or 8 hands flying around him. Xiaopingan, who has advanced to demigod, has improved his personal strength in all aspects. When he repaired the refining array, he also made a qualitative improvement compared to before. The speed alone was more than 10 times faster, and he is now refining the power and sturdiness of the produced array are more than 20% stronger than before. Xiaopingan, who is repairing the formation, is actually planning an empty city at this moment. The defense of the formation at this moment is less than 30%. If there is a demigod strongman outside to attack at this time, this huge formation may be discovered in an instant. There was a problem with the formation, but Xiaopinghan knew that under such public scrutiny, neither the human race nor the shadow demons would be able to let the other side's demigods approach the formation. So he can safely repair the damaged formation disk here, and even partially strengthen it. It took more than 2 hours for Xiaopinghan to finally repair the damaged array. The array is now even stronger than when he took it out before. After placing the array devices and allowing the array to resume operation, Xiaopinghan finally nodded and wanted to go out. Suddenly, Xiaopinghan stopped. After thinking about it, he scattered his hair, took out some blood from the secret mandala, smeared it on his face and armor, and then made flames, and Bingshuang decorated the armor a lot, making herself look a little embarrassed, as if she had experienced a bloody battle and survived. Then she nodded with satisfaction, and then waited for a while, and then emerged from the formation. Flashed out. On the battlefield outside, no one knew what was going on inside the formation. They just felt that the tremors of the formation had never stopped. There seemed to be fierce battles in the formation. All the summoners at the Blood Front base were all stunned. Worried. Suddenly, the trembling of the formation eerily calmed down, and then a few minutes later, a figure flashed out, and a figure covered in blood suddenly emerged from the formation. It's Mei Zheng. Victory. Or escaped. Everyone was staring at the formation, but no one flew out of the formation. Ahem. Xiaopinghan coughed twice and coughed up a little blood. Then he stood in the air, coughing up blood and laughing, ha ha ha, fortunately, my formation is okay, that demigod with a crocodile head has been killed by me, and I won again. As he spoke, Xiaopinghan took out a handful of pills with trembling hands and stuffed them directly into his mouth. Inside, pretending to recover. What? Mei Zheng killed the powerful demigod of the Shadow Demon army in the formation. The battlefield was eerily quiet for a few seconds, and then both the human army and the Shadow Demon army in the Blood Front base were in an uproar at the same time. From the time the demigod with the crocodile head entered Xiaopinghan's formation, more than 3 hours had passed. For a demigod-level battle, these 3 hours were actually not long. Once the demigods started fighting, they could last for 10.5 months. Unexpectedly, Xiaopinghan actually killed the demigods. Crazy god, this is what the mad god will do again. Some summoners in the human army became excited. Yes, a demigod-level strongman is definitely the backbone of the opponent's army. Killing demigods in the Nine Yang realm has not never happened in history, but these stories are too far away, and everyone regards them as ancient times. There are legends about strong men, but in reality, such people almost do not exist. Unexpectedly, I finally saw it today, Nine Yang realm killing demigods on the battlefield. Everyone on the human side was excited. Crazy god. Guji. Crazy god. Crazy god. At first, one summoner shouted, and then countless summoners shouted together. The sound of the word mad god rolled in and echoed on the battlefield. This is not that everyone is calling the mad god, but that Xiaopinghan has been regarded as the mad god. In the ancient tradition of the divine family, if there is a descendant of the divine family who can honor the ancestors, lead the people, and be recognized by everyone for his unparalleled strength, then that descendant of the divine family may be called his ancestor by everyone. The title of glory is the highest honor for the disciples of the divine family. Everyone began to call Mei Zheng by the name of Mad God, which also meant that in the eyes of everyone, Mei Zheng's status was the same as that of Mad God. In today's battle, under the spotlight of everyone, Mei Zheng used the strength of the Nine Sun realm to first kill the opponent's 4 strong men of the Nine Yang realm, and then used the formation to kill the opponent's demigod. Such a record, in the entire Tiandao Guard army, it is considered dazzling. From the time when the armies of the two sides faced off here to now, the powerful demigods from both sides have actually fought against each other several times, but the real achievement of killing the demigods was today. Compared to the high-spirited carnival on the human side, the atmosphere on the Shadow Demon Army side was like a dark cloud over the city, like mourning for an heir. Impossible, Sandbone Thorn must be trapped in the formation and cannot escape temporarily. The despicable human race wants to use this despicable method to shake our military morale. A demigod from the Shadow Demon Army roared. It turned out that the demigod with the crocodile head was called Sandbone Thorn. Only then did Xiaopingan find out what that guy's name was. Faced with the doubts from the Shadow Demon Army, Xiaopingan wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, smiled coldly, waved his hand, and the chaos-locking immortal 10,000 techniques forbidden formation directly turned into an array disc and appeared in his hand. In the void of the battlefield, there was a vast expanse of space, with not even a single figure anywhere. The demigod on the side of the Shadow Demon Army who had just questioned Xiaopingan shut up for a moment, with a look of disbelief on his face. Ha ha ha, Your Highness, it's rare for me to kill a demigod today. I wonder if any of the demigods under you have the courage to try the power of my formation and join me again. Let's compete, Xiaopingan directly challenged again. The Shadow Demon Prince gritted his teeth and stared at Xiaopingan. The aura on his body was already rolling like a volcano. The demigod strongman in his army was actually killed by the opponent's 9 Sun Realm strongman in the formation. This it is simply a shame and a great humiliation. If he does not move back to this situation today, the morale of his army will surely sink to the bottom. If he does not kill the master of the 9 Sun Realm of the human race today, this army will not listen to his command in the future. Those are all problems. In the world of the strong, shame and failure must be washed away with blood. Only the strong can command armies and conquer the masses. Prince Shadow Demon suddenly laughed, laughing wildly. He stared at Xiaopingan with bloody and cold eyes, and then pointed at Xiaopingan with his scepter. Do you want to play? Then continue. Who can kill this person today? The summoner of the human race will be rewarded by the 100 barbarian star territory as his fief. As soon as Prince Shadow Demon said this, the eyes of all the demigods under him turned red, their breath became thicker, and they stared at Xiaopingan. Okay, let's bring up the guy with the bull's head. Xiaopingan pointed at a Tauran demigod. Ha ha ha, the 100-man star is mine. The bull-headed demigod with blood-red eyes looked up to the sky and roared wildly, swung his giant axe, and rushed directly towards Xiaopingan with 100 miles in one step. When the guy rushed closer, Xiaopingan threw the formation disc again, and the formation disc once again turned into a large black sphere, wrapping both sides in it. Just like last time, after the formation enveloped both sides, it began to tremble. The tremors this time also lasted for more than 3 hours. Then, when the tremors in the formation stopped, a figure flashed, and Xiaopingan, who was in a state of embarrassment, staggered away from the formation with the opponent's demigod head. Come out and put the opponent's demigod's head on the heads of the whole country. How is it possible? Zhou Yan's eyes widened with an expression of disbelief. As for the Shadow Demon Army, everyone was dumbfounded. With a click, the scepter in the hand of His Highness the Shadow Demon Prince was crushed to pieces. Actually, relied on a large formation to kill 2 demigods, oh my god, are these still humans? After the human army was silent for a full minute, the cheers were so loud that they almost turned the world upside down. It was so unbelievable that a 9 Sun Realm summoner could kill 2 demigods in succession. Xiaopingan spit out a mouthful of blood again, turned his head with a pale face, and looked in the direction of the human army. He seemed a little weak, but his fighting spirit was high. Commander Zhou, I haven't killed enough today. There is a secret medicine to heal wounds and replenish divine power. What? Bring the dragon blood marrow and the divine crystal. Zhou Yan roared angrily. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 823. On the side of the human summoner army, a semi-god level strongman came directly to Xiaopingan with something, looked at Xiaopingan with admiration, and then put a bottle of medicine that was flashing with bright light. He took out the top-quality divine crystal that looked like a small mountain. This is dragon blood marrow. As long as a person is not turned into ashes, no matter how serious the injury is, it can be saved. Even if a demigod eats it, it can strengthen the chi, blood, muscles, and bones of the demigod. A drop of dragon blood marrow contains the power of an image. Thank you, ahem. Under the spotlight, another trace of blood overflowed from the corner of Xiaopingan's mouth. Then he took the bottle of bright dragon blood marrow and opened the bottle directly. A strange fragrance came from the bottle. The aroma began to drift away, and what was even more strange was that the aroma wafting from the mouth of the bottle turned into the shape of a dragon in the air, making a roaring sound, as if the bottle was a dragon cave. This medicine is so magical that even after Xiaopingan just sniffed it, he felt that all the pores in his body were opening, and the power he had just lost was rapidly recovering. Ahem, I'm sorry, it's all about acting. Otherwise, the other party probably wouldn't believe that he could kill a demigod in a large formation. A strong man in the Nine Sun realm can still be alive and kicking if he kills a demigod without paying a price. That's too unreasonable. Let's just think of this as the blood front base's reward for killing the opponent's demigod. Xiaopingan said secretly in his heart, then picked up the bottle, raised his head, and poured 3 drops of the liquid in the bottle into his mouth. As soon as the dragon blood marrow entered his mouth, Xiaopingan felt heat like a fire dragon. It rushed towards his spine, and then spread out from his spine towards his limbs. All the muscles and bones in his body made a crackling sound. Xiaopingan felt that the energy and blood in his body increased sharply. Those muscles and blood vessels he suddenly gained tens of thousands of kilograms of strength. This dragon blood marrow was so powerful that if an ordinary person took just 1 drop, he would instantly become a Superman. In addition to the transformation of the body, there is also an even more peculiar power that directly penetrates into the temple of his secret mandala, transforms into the shape of a dragon in the temple, groans, and then merges into the sky and caisson of the temple. The golden light of the temple flashed and became stronger. As soon as the dragon blood marrow went out, Xiaopingan's face suddenly turned rosy, and his whole aura suddenly became full of vitality. He was not greedy, but capped the bottle and pushed it over. There were about 10 more in the bottle. Here comes the dragon blood marrow. That's enough, this dragon blood marrow is too precious, leave the rest to those who need it. The strong demigod shook his head with a serious face, pressed Xiaopingan's hand back, and said to Xiaopingan with concern, Mr. May, take it, you're welcome, take this bottle of dragon blood marrow. Come on, we are not short of this, you may need it in the future. If this bottle is not enough, there are still some in the base. How do you feel now? Then, I'm sorry, it's hard to refuse such kindness. Seeing that the other party was so determined, Xiaopingan could only take back the dragon blood marrow in his hand and put it directly into his secret mandala. I feel much better now and can still fight. I will escort you back. Today you have killed 4 Nine Sun Realm experts and 2 demigods. Such achievements have already made Mr. May famous in all worlds. Don't you see? Those people are looking at you now. The eyes are all green, and I won't give up until I kill you. Mr. May, you have done enough for the human race, don't take any chances," said the powerful demigod. "Thank you, Senior, for reminding me. Please go back, Senior. My fighting spirit is boiling today, so I will fight to the fullest without killing 1 or 2 demigods. My fighting spirit will never be extinguished." Xiaopingan said resolutely, "That's right, I wonder what your senior's surname is." As expected of the mad gods. The powerful demigod sighed, "Don't call me senior, my name is Bailey Feng. Brother May, just call me Brother Bailey. We will be equals from now on." "Okay, Brother Bailey, please go back first. Leave this place to me. I can handle it." Seeing Xiaopingan's resolute attitude, Bailey Feng didn't say much, but nodded, told Xiaopingan to be more careful, and then quickly returned to the human army. At this time, Xiaopingan looked at the shadow demon army again and continued fishing. "Oh, no," he continued to provoke, "Your Highness, shadow demon, do you still dare to fight?" On the other side of the shadow demon army, the prince almost chewed his own teeth into pieces and swallowed them in his stomach. The way he looked at Xiaoping was like a gambler who was desperate to lose at the gambling table. The blood was red, and he was breathing heavily in his nostrils. What kind of formation is that? Until now, two strong demigods from the shadow demon army entered the opponent's formation, but they did not destroy the opponent's formation. This made everyone think that Xiaopingan's formation was too powerful and mysterious. So he can be allowed to kill his own demigods in a large formation. Ha ha ha. Xiaopingan shook his head and laughed, holding the formation plate in his hand, the sound booming in the sky. The name of this formation is called the 9 Heavens and 10 Earths. Demigod shake his head for fear of the thunderbolt, golden light, thunder and lightning formation. If you are afraid, then never mind. His Highness the Prince of Shadow Demon roared angrily, "Fight, why don't you fight? It's just a formation disc. If it doesn't scare me, I don't believe you can make a big difference here today with such a formation disc." Following the roar of the Shadow Demon Prince, the demigods on the Shadow Demon army all took a step forward again, each with fighting spirit in their bodies, looking at Xiaopingan. Yes, even if Xiaopingan has killed 2 demigods, they still have confidence in the remaining demigods because the 2 demigods that Xiaopingan chose to kill before are of stronger strength among them. Are all at the back. The remaining demigods feel that they are stronger than them, and the summoner of the human race should have been seriously injured just now. He is at the end of the crossbow, and his strength has reached its peak. As long as he works harder, you can kill him. In addition to this reason, for these demigods in the Shadow Demon army, there is another reason why they are willing to continue playing. The 2 demigods who were killed by Xiaopingan before have good things in them, so good the things should be collected by the human summoner. If you go up and kill the human summoner, you will not only get the fiefdom rewarded by His Highness the Prince, but also the things on the human summoner and the things on the 2 demigods before. They all become their own. This is a good deal. Okay, this time let's go with the guy who's on fire and wrapped in iron lumps. Xiaopingan reached out and picked another opponent. The people Xiaopingan picked were all weird people. The demigod strongman selected by Xiaopingan soon turned into a stream of light and appeared in front of Xiaopingan. "I, Boreagilagito Depression Sirahaharaha Iron Fire Mina, the 7th generation of darkness accepts your challenge." "What's the name of this bird?" Xiaopingan only heard a long list of things coming out of the other person's mouth like a machine gun. It took him half a minute to finish saying the name, and his head was spinning. Just because of the name, this guy must die. Just call this guy Achi. Guyi. Xiaopingan didn't waste any more nonsense, threw out the formation disc, and the Chaos Lock Immortal 10,000 Techniques Forbidden Formation immediately enveloped the 2 of them. This time, the formation did not tremble like the previous 2 times, but quickly changed from dark black to dark red. The entire formation emitted terrifying high temperatures, like a huge red-hot iron ball. In the large formation, Achi smiled ferociously, and boundless flames emanated from Achi's body, turning into various birds, animals, chariots, horses, humans, and cattle, and the iron wheels of the battle formation roared and trampled away in all directions, seeming to be able to burn everything. This guy is indeed stronger than the first 2. His ability to play with fire is like a racial talent. Xiaopingan didn't panic, but continued to let the heaven-stealing technique come into play, and kept picking things off that guy. In just the first blow, Xiaopinggan pulled out a small dark red bead from the opponent's body. He didn't know what the bead was. Anyway, when Xiaopinggan held it in his hand, the bead was burning fiercely. Beating, as if trying to escape, a piece of pig blood was poured down, and the bead stopped moving. However, Qi screamed in the formation in shock and anger, as if he had been stabbed in the waist. How come your Yuanhuo pearl got into your hands? My Yuanhuo pearl. Soon, Qi knew why the two demigods who had entered the formation in front of him were killed in the hands of the human summoner in front of him. This human summoner was too abnormal. This formation could kill demigods. Trapped, and this guy can continue to pull things out of the trapped demigod, and can hollow out people. There is no way to fight this battle. Qi wanted to send his spiritual thoughts back to the army of shadow demons, but found that this formation blocked everything. As soon as his spiritual thoughts left his body, they turned into chaos and became a mess. Xiaopinggan was too lazy to pay attention and continued to steal. The guy seemed to have more than one Yuanhuo bead on his body. At the same time, in the formation, pieces of icy blue ice cones flew towards Qi. More than half an hour later, the flames emitted by Qi became smaller and smaller. Suddenly, Qi's body glowed red, revealing an extremely dangerous and violent aura. Xiaopinggan he immediately became alert in his heart. He turned the array disc violently and retreated. The power of chaos in the formation formed countless layers of armor in front of Xiaopinggan. Boom! Qi exploded, and a ball of blazing white flames rose from Qi's body, forming a mushroom cloud and a flame halo, spreading violently in all directions, destroying everything, and its power was no less than that of a heavy bomb. The void divine thunder and the power of chaos in the chaos immortal locking 10,000 techniques forbidden formation were stirred up at this moment and surged in all directions like a tsunami. In the explosion of fire, Xiaopinggan's eyes blessed with the eye of heaven and the Qi observation technique saw a little man over a foot tall whose whole body was emitting hot white light. Taking advantage of the aftermath of the explosion, he was mixed in the flames. And immediately wanted to rush outside the formation. I want to run away. Xiaopinggan was so happy that he threw the spiritual tower in his secret mandala towards the escaping villain without even thinking about it. The hidden spirit pagoda is the treasure of the leader of the Divine Tomb sect, and it is also a secret treasure of the gods. Xiaopinggan rarely uses it after getting it. This thing has superpower and induction to the souls and souls separated by the strong, and can protect can restrain. Sure enough, the hidden spirit pagoda turned into a beam of light and flew out under the tug of the chaotic power of the formation. The escaping flame villain let out a scream and was restrained by the hidden spirit pagoda in the blink of an eye. This guy just blew himself up, causing the entire formation to tremble, causing considerable damage to the formation. Xiaopinggan flew to the hidden spirit pagoda, grabbed the hidden spirit pagoda, and suddenly felt the strange spiritual body of Qi exuding high temperature in the hidden spirit pagoda. Although the spiritual body of this demigod is much more powerful than that of the leader of the Divine Tomb sect, in the eyes of a senior pastor like Xiaopinggan, it is nothing more than that. They are all lambs waiting for redemption. Xiaopinggan's spirit body entered the spirit hidden pagoda directly and immediately saw Qi. Qi looked at Xiaopinggan's golden and overwhelming spirit body, and finally understood something, and suddenly screamed, "You are a demigod." Clever, Xiaopinggan smiled slightly, but you know, I have been fighting you with the power of the Nine Yang realm from beginning to end, and I have not deceived you. Qi the monster screamed, golden flames rose from his body, and he rushed towards Xiaopinggan, as if he wanted to incinerate Xiaopinggan. Xiaopinggan smiled disdainfully, you can still mess around outside, why bother here? He swung out the nightmare-slaying sword, just like sacrificing the emperor's sword. The terrifying and mighty sword light swept through the entire space of the spirit-hidden pagoda. Qi's roars and screams suddenly stopped, and his body was completely shattered, and finally turned into the golden flames were automatically absorbed by Xiaoping's spirit body. Hey, this guy is really good. Xiaoping was stunned for a moment, then left. More than 2 hours later, when Xiaoping flew out from the formation again, the human army suddenly boiled. The third demigod was killed by him. This is simply a miracle. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 824. Xiaoping, who rushed out of the formation, was shaky, his face was charred, and the sacred armor on his body was gone. He looked like a person who rushed out of a fire scene. Most of his clothes were burned, as if he had experienced a bloody battle. After the aftermath, as soon as he came out, he vomited a mouthful of blood. Then with a wave of his hand, the formation turned into a formation disc and fell into Xiaoping's hands. However, the formation disc looked seriously damaged to the naked eye. Your Highness, I have won again. 10 days later, I will continue to set up a large formation here. If you are brave, we will continue. Xiaoping finished the sentence extremely weakly, and spit out another mouthful of blood. Then, without waiting for a response from the shadow demon army, he flew towards the human army. As soon as Xuanhuan saw it, his whole body cut through the void and appeared next to Xiaoping in almost one step. Seeing someone coming, Xiaoping closed his eyes and fainted. His body fell from the air. Xuanhuan grabbed Xiaoping. The next step was to return to the human army. The shadow demon army didn't even have a chance to take action. Crazy God, Wansheng. Crazy God, Wansheng. Crazy God, Wansheng. Countless summoners on the human side were excited. Everyone looked at the coma Mr. May with different eyes. A feat that the crazy god had not accomplished back then, he killed 3.5 people in the Nine Yang realm. God, Mei Zheng did it, and he did it under everyone's eyes. This inspired and uplifted the morale of the entire human army, which is indescribable. Moreover, after the opponent's army lost 3 demigods, the pressure on the blood front base was greatly reduced in an instant. You must know that in the entire shadow demon army, except for the prince, there are only 13 demigods. In just one move today, Xiaoping almost killed a quarter of the opponent's demigods. Without saying a word, Xuanhuan took Xiaoping back to the cubic fortress with a wave of his hand. On the other side of the shadow demon army, the prince's face was livid, and his eyes were about to spit fire. Almost everyone felt that the human summoner had reached the end of his strength, and the formation seemed to have been destroyed a lot, just a little bit. He would be beheaded, I didn't expect. On this battlefield today, the shadow demon army lost 3 powerful demigods in a row. The morale of the army was sluggish, and there was no point in continuing the fight today. Seeing the high morale of the human army, with the wave of His Highness the Prince's hand, the shadow demon army all fell. They retreated into their blood-red sphere, and no one was left on the battlefield. When everyone entered the blood-red sphere, the blood-red sphere slowly rotated. The huge virus-like tentacles on the sphere spewed out black smoke, covering tens of thousands of miles of sky and ground around it. In the smoke, Xiaoping's coma was naturally fake, but because of his deep soul power, he pretended to be more real than real. Gu Tao. To be honest, he had just advanced to the level of demigod and didn't even have a moment's rest. After killing 4 demigods in the Nine Yang realm and repairing the array several times, he also felt a little tired, so Xuanhuan, after sending him to a hospital-like place in the cube fortress of the human army, and giving him some elixirs to restore his injuries, Xiaoping briefly woke up for a moment, and after summoning Xiaolefu to stand guard for him, he simply fell asleep and had a good sleep. Killing 3 of the opponent's demigods today is just right. If a 4th one comes today, I'm afraid it will break the gang. If there are 3, it will just get stuck in the opponent's heart. The opponent will still be waiting to find you in 10 days. Revenge. If they kill 1 or 2 more demigods from the other side, the shadow demon army will probably go crazy. When the time comes, I will act according to the situation on the battlefield. If I pretend to escape or leave the human army, will the prince on the side of the shadow demon army let me leave safely? Definitely not. The other party will definitely find ways to save his life. When the time comes, he will dig a hole for those people, and the mission assigned by Mr. Jing will be completed. With Xiaolefu standing guard and inside the human race's fortress, Xiaoping'an had nothing to worry about, so he put everything down and had a good sleep to regain his energy and physical strength. He slept all day long, and by the second heaven, Xiaoping'an was still lying on the bed, without opening his eyes, but began to create a world in his mind, using the method of divine acting to digest and absorb every bit of the gains from the battle with the three demigods. On the battlefield, he used a large formation to trap the three demigods, and then completed the killing of the three demigods. Without the large formation, he would have fought with the three demigods with his strength and identity. How can he kill three people at the minimum cost and fastest speed? This is a scene played by Xiaoping'an. If the opponent is 2 or 3 people joining forces, how can they respond to the challenge? Xiaoping'an was lying on the bed and could feel some people coming to visit him, but he was too lazy to wake up and kept rehearsing the battle with the 3 powerful demigods in his head. By the end of the magical performance, Xiaoping'an's mind and spirit were as clear as crystal, and he had gained a lot, and all the magical performances finally pointed to an invincible hypothesis: if he could not rely on the Chaos Lock immortal 10,000 methods to seal the great formation relies on its own realm of the unity of magic and martial arts. It can reverse the 5 elements of the void of heaven and earth, and turn the power of the 5 elements of the void of heaven and earth into the power of chaos. If you punch it out, the opponent will seem to be trapped in it. If you can't move in the chaos of the Chaos Lock immortal 10,000 techniques forbidden formation, and also block the opponent's power of the holy way, then you can be invincible in the demigod realm, with 1 against 100, and become a demigod. The strongest. After lying in bed for 2 days, Xiaoping'an's eyes finally opened, and his eyes were shining with light. Being able to reverse the 5 elements, turn the 5 elements into the original chaotic state of heaven and earth, and ban the demigods, this should be the highest state of the way of combining law and martial arts. If it can be done, it means that the way of combining law and martial arts is in fact, the realm is not only the 5th level, but also the highest 6th level. However, how should this be done? How can the secret principles of machine formations be communicated with people and applied to spells and combat techniques? Do I want to? If you can't refine yourself into a formation disc, you still have to break it through hand seals. Xiaoping'an murmured to himself that if he passed this level, he would be truly invincible. Later, Xiaoping'an felt that the giant pillars in the Holy Master Hall in his secret mandala began to glow. Xiaoping'an became excited almost immediately and could speak the Analects of Confucius again. Mr. Mei, are you awake? At this moment, Zhou Yan's voice came from outside the door. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 825. Hearing Zhou Yan's voice, Xiaoping'an stood up from the bed and asked Xiaolefu outside to bring Zhou Yan in. Mr. Mei, are you feeling better? Zhou Yan asked with concern. His attitude towards Xiaoping'an was completely different. Much better, thank you Master Zhou for your concern. Xiaoping'an replied, I wonder what the situation of the shadow demon army outside has been like these past 2 days. Is there any special movement? I was just about to talk to Mr. Mei about this. The shadow demon army suddenly retreated into the abyss passage last night. Judging from the appearance of the shadow demon army, it seems that they will not accept your challenge again, sir, Zhou Yan replied. Xiaoping'an was stunned. He immediately wanted to use his remote viewing ability to see the movements of the shadow demon army, but as soon as his mind moved, he found that there was darkness in front of him, only the outline of the cube where the human army was faintly appearing in his perception. His remote viewing ability was completely sealed within this cube. This cube seemed to be able to isolate the detection of various special abilities from inside and outside. Could it be that His Highness the Prince found out that he had been fooled, or that something happened within the Shadow Demon army? Xiaoping'an was confused. Is it their routine operation for the Shadow Demon army to retreat to the Abyss Passage? Xiaoping'an asked. On the battlefield of the battle in the secret realm of heaven, it is normal for both sides to come and go with victory and defeat. This operation is not special, Xuanhuan explained. The Abyss Fortress of the Shadow Demon army can erupt with stronger energy in the Abyss Passage. This is their defensive action. As for the reason why they did this, I guess it has something to do with you, Mr. May. You killed 3 of their demigods, which greatly damaged the strength and morale of the Shadow Demon army. As soon as our fortress took advantage of the situation yesterday and regained some territory, the Shadow Demon's fortress retreated into the Abyss Passage and is now confronting us. However, we cannot take it lightly, because they can come out from the Abyss Passage at any time, and the Shadow Demon the Prince in the army is very cunning and suspicious. I guess they are just showing weakness temporarily, so be careful what tricks they play. What tricks can they play? Xuanhuan's face suddenly became serious. His Royal Highness the Prince will not let Mr. May lead you by the nose, so if Mr. May wants to use a large formation to kill their demigods, I guess it will be difficult. Then Mr. May made a final battle with them, but the Prince did not speak. I guess he must be thinking about how to get rid of Mr. May now. Mr. May naturally does not have to worry about it in the fortress, but once Mr. May leaves the fortress, he will be careful. Xiaoping'an listened and nodded secretly. This was similar to what he had judged. That day when he used a large formation to kill 3 demigods, the prince was riding a tiger and couldn't get off. He also had a sense of luck and his acting skills. Online, so I won a big victory. When His Highness the Prince calms down, I'm afraid he will be able to guess that he pretends to win every time with difficulty to let them see hope. This is the trap to lure the next demigod to the bait. They are terrifying. It won't be so easy to be fooled again. Of course, at the moment, I was a thorn in the side of His Highness the Prince. If I didn't get rid of him, His Highness the Prince might not even be able to sleep. Xiaoping'an nodded. Thank you, Mr. Zhou, for reminding me. I will pay attention. Ahem, there's one more thing I want to ask Mr. May. I don't dare to take it seriously. If Master Zhou has anything to say, just say it. There was a trace of embarrassment on Xuanhuan's face, but he still said, I don't know what kind of formation Mr. Ri used to trap the demon demigods on the battlefield that day. I have never seen that formation before. I have also asked many formation mages in the fortress in the past 2 days, and everyone also said that they have never seen such a large formation before. If such a large formation can be mastered by our human army in the secret realm of heaven, it will definitely be able to protect the human race. Put it to great use. As soon as Xuanhuan asked, Xiaoping'an knew what he wanted to say. It was the Tiandao guards who took a fancy to his formation. For these high-level officials of the Tiandao Guard army, they do have a vision and can see the strategic value of the Chaos Immortal Locking and 10,000 Techniques Forbidden Formation. To be honest, a great formation that can assist the 9 Yang realm experts to kill demigods. Its value is difficult to estimate. It is not an exaggeration to call such a large formation a great killing weapon. The formation plate and refining method of the Chaos Lock Immortal 10,000 Techniques Forbidden Formation come from the Kunlun formation mechanism collection that I have mastered. It is one of the top formations in this secret book. Indeed, no one has mastered it before. Xuanhuan and the others must also know that the name they gave the formation that day was a hoax, used to tease the Shadow Demon army. Xiaoping'an pondered for a moment and then said to Xuanhuan, the name of that formation is the Chaos Locking Immortal 10,000 Techniques Forbidden Formation. Chaos Lock Immortal 10,000 Techniques Forbidden Formation. Xuanhuan's eyes flashed when he heard this name. This name was official as soon as he heard it. It was definitely not the nonsense that Xiaoping'an made that day, like the demigods of the 9 heavens and 10 earths shaking their heads in fear. The name can be compared. This is a unique formation that I have mastered. I can kill the opponent's demigods in that formation not entirely because of the formation, but because I have other secret methods that can perfectly combine with the formation to assist each other. Only in this way can we restrain the opponent's demigod trapped in the formation. If we rely on the formation alone, we can only trap the opponent's demigod for a while at most and cannot kill it. Listening to Xiaoping's words, the expression on Zhou Yan's face changed slightly, because the so-called unique formations are the treasures of formation masters. Generally speaking, no formation master is willing to use the unique formations he has mastered. Dharma contribution. Xiaoping looked at the expression on Zhou Yan's face and continued, Master Zhou should know that I am also a saint master. My secret method of cooperating with the formation comes from a rare world bead. After I fused it, after a world bead, I also mastered the secret method of saint master initiation of that world bead. If a top level 9 Sun Realm master can master the secret method of that world bead and the Chaos Lock Immortal 10,000 method sealing formation, it is indeed possible. It's very possible to kill the opponent's demigod. Mr. Mei, what do you mean? Zhou Yan raised his eyebrows, his eyes flashing with lightning, and for a moment he couldn't grasp what Xiaoping meant. I am willing to contribute the refining method of the Chaos Lock Immortal 10,000 magic forbidden formation to the Tiandao Guard army to guard the human race. At the same time, if the Tiandao Guard army can find a group of 9 Sun Realm summoners who are completely reliable and loyal to the human race, I am willing to hold the Holy Master initiation ceremony for those summoners, so that they can master the secret method that can be used in conjunction with the formation, so that they can also have the ability to kill the opponent's demigod realm strongman in the 9 Yang realm. Upon hearing Xiaoping's words, Zhou Yan's expression completely changed. He stood up suddenly and asked excitedly, is what Mr. Mei said true? It is the responsibility of you and me to protect the human race. I am indeed not joking with Mr. Zhou. I am willing to contribute the secret method I have mastered and the refining method of the Chaos Lock Immortal 10,000 magic forbidden formation to protect the human race, Pingan said with a serious face. Yes, Xiaopingan was not joking. As a human summoner, as a summoner who suffered from space invasion, he knew too well the pain of being devastated by the alien invasion of the country and the turmoil of the country. The secret realm of heaven is the most important place for human summoners and aliens. It is no exaggeration to say that the victory or defeat in the battlefield of the top powerhouses may affect the stability of the universe and the snobbery of the human race. As the top powerhouse of the human race, Xiaopingan feels that he should do something for the human race. What? This is the responsibility of every strong human being, of course. The summoner who accepts his initiation must be absolutely reliable, which is what Xiaopingan emphasized. Zhou Yan was so excited that he clapped his hands fiercely, and excitedly walked around the room twice before coming to Xiaopingan. This matter has a great impact. I will report it to the headquarters of the Tiandao Guards immediately. As for reliability, Mr. Mei, please rest assured that the Heavenly Guard army has been fighting against foreign races in the secret realm of heaven for countless years. There are countless heroic families in the Heavenly Guard army who have been loyal to the human race for a long time. The top masters of those families will never betray the human race. Okay, which secret magic world bead that Mr. Mei mentioned can be used for initiation? It's this world bead. Xiaopingan stretched out his hand in the void and used his divine power to write the 2 golden characters Ho Ying. Zhou Yan stared at the 2 words written by Xiaopingan and wrote these 2 words. The words were written down, please ask Mr. Zhou to arrange a place for me to practice. I will prepare to be in seclusion for a few days. Zhou Yan immediately agreed, I can take Mr. Mei to a training tower right now. After bringing Xiaopingan to a training tower, Zhou Yan immediately left in a hurry and reported to the highest level of the Tiandao Guards in the Tiandao secret realm. allowing some of the top 9 Sun Realm Masters in the Tiandao Guard army to have the strength to kill the opponent's demigods is a matter of great importance, and there is no room for sloppiness. An update today. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 826. There was a sea of people in front of the secret mandala Holy Master Hall. Except for Xiaopingan, those who came to the Holy Master Hall to listen to the lectures all knelt respectfully in front of the hall and listened to Xiaopingan's explanation of the Analects of Confucius. In the secret mandala at this moment, the snow has melted, the flowing clouds are flowing high in the sky, and 10 days after the flowing clouds hang high, the sun is warm, everything is revived, and everything is full of vitality. Xiaopingan stood in the main hall of the Holy Master's Hall, and his whole voice echoed excitedly in the Holy Master's Hall. Many people read the Analects of Confucius, but few interpret it. The meaning of the sage and the spirit of the Analects are mostly misinterpreted by corrupt scholars and parrots, making the world unable to understand the meaning of the sage and the spirit of the Analects. For example, the following sentence, Zigong asked the gentleman. The master said, first do what he says and then follow it. What does this sentence mean? Many people misinterpret this sentence as Zigong asking what makes a gentleman. Then Confucius replied, a gentleman does things before speaking, and then speaks according to what he does. Such an understanding is a big mistake. The so-called gentleman is what we mentioned earlier. As I have said before, a gentleman is a person who hears, sees, learns, and practices the way of a sage, and the way of a sage is not a simple moral code. To understand the way of a sage with simple moral standards is to only see a part and not the whole thing. Zigong was smart and eloquent. Now when I ask Confucius what a gentleman is, he actually hopes to get a more accurate and static definition of a gentleman that can be immediately observed and detected at the moment. And many people interpret Confucius's answer of walk his words first and then follow them as meaning that his actions come before his words. Is he a gentleman who only acts but does not speak? It is really ridiculous. More people who only act but do not speak are actually hypocrites. In fact, do what one says first and then follow what he says is the abbreviation of do what one says first and then follow what he says. Words not only refers to words, but also includes all people's thoughts and corresponding behaviors. Do what one says means both a person's words, thoughts, and corresponding actions continue throughout the entire life process, which is what Confucius said, my way is consistent, such a person can be called a gentleman. Meng Wubo asked about filial piety. Confucius said, parents only worry about their illness. Many people interpret the latter sentence to mean that letting your parents only worry about your illness is filial piety for their children. This understanding does not answer the question, and it is just the right way to do it. The true meaning of the sentence is that when Meng Wubo asked about filial piety, Confucius said, filial piety is the feeling of worrying about your parents even if you are sick. Even if you are sick, you are still worried about your parents. This is true filial piety. Why a filial person will worry about his parents when he is sick? First, he does not want his parents to worry about his illness. Second, he is worried that he will not be able to take care of his elderly parents when he is sick. This is filial piety. Some corrupt scholars understand this sentence to make parents worry only about their own illness is filial piety, which is completely nonsense and contrary to human nature. As Xiaopingan explained, the golden pillars in the Holy Master's Hall began to glow one by one and were lit up, and the light and shadow of the sculptures in the secret mandala temple also continued to cast on the giant pillars, turning into reliefs on huge pillars. Xiaopingan advanced to demigod this time and ignited 5 giant pillars. The number of reliefs that can be used for Holy Master initiation on the giant pillars has become 320. In fact, Xiaopingan's fused world beads have not there are so many, so there are large tracts of blank space left on many giant columns to accommodate new reliefs. Added a full 500 points of divine power. The divine power of enlightenment appeared again, and the powerful divine power cleansed Xiaopingan's body again and again. The demigod can no longer fuse new world beads, but he is now fusing the Holy Master world beads that he has fused before, which is a matter of accumulation. In addition, Xiaopingan also discovered that after advancing to demigod, this demigod realm bead the divine power generated seems to be completely different from before, and the effect of this initiation to destroy the body has become stronger. I don't know how much time passed before Xiaopingan opened his eyes in the secret room. He felt his body and found that his strength had improved a lot and he was making further progress. It is really not easy to be able to make progress in the demigod realm, which is gratifying. You know how many strong demigods have racked their brains in order to make some progress in the demigod realm. Now I might be the one with the highest limit of divine power among all the demigods in the mysterious realm of heaven. After other demigods advance to the level of demigods, they cannot integrate the new realm pearl. It would be difficult to increase the upper limit of divine power like reaching the sky, and now the upper limit of divine power has been increased by 500 points. Who else can do it? Xiaopingan looked at the upper limit of divine power of 16,318 points in his secret mandala, and felt proud. In the Holy Master Hall, does the blank space of those giant pillars mean that the newly fused world beads in the future can be directly used for initiation? There are still 8 giant pillars in the Holy Master Hall. It seems that the final fusion will not be completed until I can become a god. Guseeing. No matter what, this issue will be known when we have the opportunity to integrate the world beads in the future. It didn't take long for Xiaopingan to integrate the Holy Master Realm bead in the training tower. It only took a few hours. Anyway, there was still time later, so Xiaopingan once again studied the Chaos Immortal Locking 10,000 Techniques Forbidden Formation in the training tower. Come on. This time, he was not trying to refine the formation disc, but was thinking about how to convert the divine power of other demigods banned on the formation disc into a way to combine magic and martial arts. The array of the Chaos Locking Immortal 10,000 Techniques Forbidden Formation hangs in the void in front of Xiaopingan. The entire array has been completely dismantled. Xiaopingan's hands are blooming like petals, and various hand seals are constantly changing. With the power of the 5 elements in the void of the cultivation tower, he is constantly comprehending the various changes and mysteries of the evolution array. The power of the 5 elements of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth is constantly changing in the secret room. The black power of water, the red power of fire, the green power of wood, the white power of gold, and the yellow power of earth are in the secret room. They are entangled with each other and constantly changing, making the entire secret cultivation room colorful. This is Xiaopingan's first attempt. The power of the 5 elements can be mutually reinforcing and inhibiting each other, but how to reverse it into the forbidden power of chaos is a difficult test that few people have tried. Chaos can be transformed into the 5 elements, but the 5 elements it is simply impossible to transform into chaos without relying on the formation disc. As Xiaopingan's handprints changed, the power of the 5 elements continued to condense in front of him into formations similar to the Chaos Locking Immortal 10,000 Techniques Forbidden Formation, but they disintegrated and dissipated again and again, making it difficult to maintain. Xiaopingan kept groping, trying, and deducing in the secret room, failing again and again, completely forgetting the existence of time, and forgetting to sleep and eat. By the time Xiaopingan received the news from outside, almost half a month had passed. The news was sent by Xuanhuan to Xiaolefu into the secret cultivation room. After receiving the news from the Blood Front base, the top management of the Tiandao guards attached great importance to it and immediately took action, mobilizing various resources and selecting reliable candidates, waiting for Xiaopingan to put the Chaos Locking Immortal 10,000 Techniques Forbidden Formation. The formation disc and the corresponding secret method were passed down. The reliable 9 Sun Realm Masters and Ho Ying boundary beads are ready, and the formation masters have also been transferred. They have arrived in the cube fortress. Everyone is waiting for Xiaopinggan to come out of the secret room. After listening to Xiaolefu's explanation of the situation outside, Xiaopinggan waved his hand, and the countless arrays of light and shadow condensed with the power of the 5 elements in the secret room suddenly dissipated. Xiaopingyan has been in seclusion these days to study the secrets of the Chaos Immortal locking 10,000 methods forbidden formation. The bad news is that his attempts to use the combination of magic and martial arts to evolve the secrets of the formation have all failed, and he has not made any breakthroughs. The good news is that he has a deeper understanding of the Chaos Locking Immortal 10,000 techniques forbidden formation. Now that he has refined the Chaos Locking Immortal 10,000 techniques forbidden formation, he can already use it at his fingertips, and it is powerful. Bigger. This result was not beyond Xiaopinggan's expectation. If this array could really be evolved using the combination of magic and martial arts, I'm afraid someone would have done it a long time ago. They wouldn't have waited until now to see it. The difficulty of such an attempt is beyond his imagination. And the more difficult it is to make, the more valuable it will be after it is completed. Have I been in seclusion for so long? It feels like it's only been a while. It's really not that easy to be invincible, Xiaopingyan said, laughing at himself and already standing up. Since people are here, let's go out and meet them. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 827. I've met the Holy Master. As soon as Xiaopingyan walked out of the training tower, he was startled by the formation outside the training tower. A total of 108 people, both men and women, stood outside the tower and respectfully bowed to him as a disciple. In the world of summoners, those who achieve first come first. These people all know Xiaopinggan's achievements in the past few days, killing 3 demigods with one person's power, and they know what they are here to do, so they treat Xiaopinggan also very respectful. There are 108 people, both male and female. Some look like teenagers of 16 or 17 years old, while some already have silver hair. From the looks of it, everyone is different in age, but they have one thing in common. Yes, these people all have a strong aura of 9 Yang realm experts, and for people who have reached this realm, the youthful-looking boy may not really be younger than the silver-haired person. Some secret techniques, or special treasures of heaven and earth, can lock people's appearance and even make them look young again. No need to be polite, Xiaopinggan calmed down and then nodded. The 108 people straightened up and looked at Xiaopinggan with burning eyes. Xiaopinggan glanced at Zhou Yan, and the meaning in his eyes was asking Zhou Yan, should the Tiandao guards not be so exaggerated, and actually give him 108 people at a time? Do you want to empower these 108 masters at the same time? Ahem. Zhou Yan coughed twice and immediately introduced, these 108 people are the suitable candidates that the Tiandao Guard army has found from all over the Tiandao secret realm. They are all members of the Tiandao Guard army and the Tiandao Guard army from all walks of life. Descendants of the goddess family. There are heroes and martyrs in the family who have sacrificed their lives to protect the human race for generations. The bloodline inheritance and glory continues. They are the backbone of guarding the human race. They have made countless meritorious deeds on the battlefield. They are absolutely loyal and reliable, and their divine power, the upper limit, also meets the requirements. Listening to Zhou Yan's words, Xiaopingyan used his heavenly Dharma eyes and Qi observation technique to look at these people. Observing the status of these people from their faces and auras, he found that the auras of these people were as bright as the rising Sunday. The rising light is bright and intense. Some are majestic and majestic like the 9 heavens immortal palace, some are majestic and majestic like the mountains of the earth, and some are as warm and gentle as the spring breeze. Everyone has different auras and different faces, but none of them are treacherous, wretched, and dark in their hearts. People, it seems that the Tiandao guards are really strict and the people they find are quite reliable. A person can disguise his appearance, actions, and language, but he cannot disguise his aura. This is Xiaoping's new discovery. Sometimes, through the feeling of aura, a person's character and heritage can be better seen. In the secret mandala, Xiaoping asked Kui Hao to divine a hexagram to see if there were any problems. Kui Hao's feedback was that he divined a flying dragon in the sky, which foreshadowed Xiaoping's initiation and teaching of chaos. The result of long immortal and 10,000 methods of forbidden formation is a sign of prosperity and good fortune. With the endorsement of the Tiandao guards and the results of his own observations, and Kui Hao's divination results were also good, Xiaoping felt relieved. Have you found 108 of the world beads I told you about? Xiaoping asked Zhou Yan. Yes, no more, no less. The Tiandao guards urgently collected exactly 108 boundary beads from all walks of life. That boundary bead is indeed rare. No one has fused it before, and those who have fused it have basically failed, because time is tight, so the Tiandao guards can find so many for the time being. If we are given a little more time, we can find more boundary beads, Zhou Yan introduced. At the same time, among these 108 people, there are the 36 people are quite accomplished in formations, and Mr. May can also teach them the refining method of that large formation. Being able to find so many qualified people by selecting the best in just over 10 days also shows from another perspective that there are indeed too many powerful people in this secret realm of heaven, and the guards of heaven. The strength of the army is beyond what ordinary people can imagine. Okay, 108, then 108, I like this number. Xiaoping smiled. Where does Mr. May want to give the initiation and transfer the power? Zhou Yan asked. Don't look for a place, just this training tower behind me, Xiaoping pointed to the white training tower behind him. This training tower is 7 stories high, and the bottom floor is not connected to the area of the underground palace secret room. It is over 5,000 square meters, spacious and bright. It is trivial to gather more than 100 people, hold a big class, or give everyone Xiaozao Saint Master initiation. Moreover, this cultivation tower is safe. It is not necessary even in the fortress anyway. Ran everywhere. Zhou Yan nodded and glanced at the training tower. Well, it's okay here too. Mr. May doesn't have to worry about safety. I'll be by Mr. May's side to protect Mr. May. There are also experts guarding outside the tower. There will never be any problems. Okay, come in then. Xiaoping turned around, waved his hand, and the door of the training tower opened. Xiaoping greeted the 108 people outside the tower to enter the tower. Guqian. After arriving in the tower, Xiaoping looked at those people with a serious face. Everyone, let me introduce myself first. My name is Mei Zheng. You should all know why you are here. I won't say much else. I only hope that after you have mastered the secret method and the array, you can guard the Guangdong human race, uphold justice, and live up to today's gathering, the trust of the Heavenly Guard Army, and the glory of your bloodline. Everyone nodded in agreement. Xiaoping looked at Zhou Yan. I will first hold a Holy Master initiation ceremony for everyone, so that everyone can master the secret method of the World Pearl. After everyone has completed the initiation and transmission, I will teach everyone the array. I will go to the secret room first, Master Zhou. Just arrange for people to come in one by one. Xiaoping said, and walked towards the secret room, letting Xialefa protect him. Less than a minute after Xiaoping came to the secret room, a tall man in his 30s with a Chinese character in his hand entered the secret room with a Hoying world bead in his hand, and saluted Xiaoping again. Wind King Star Territory Tianqin Fenyumo, a disciple of the imperial family, has met the Holy Master and thanks the Holy Master for teaching him the skills. This big man is actually a member of the royal family. Is it any wonder he has such an imposing manner? Xiaoping glanced at this person, nodded, motioned the person to sit down in front of him, and then began to initiate the person. When Xiaoping raised his hand, A ball of golden light appeared on his hand, and then he directly pressed the ball of golden light into the person's head, and then let the person fuse with the Hoying world bead. Fenyumo dripped blood onto the Hoying boundary bead, and in the blink of an eye he was surrounded by the light cocoon of the boundary bead. Then more than 10 minutes later, the light cocoon on Fenyumo's body shattered, and surging divine power fluctuations appeared on him. Fenyumo opened his eyes with shock in his eyes, but more of joy. It increased the upper limit of divine power by a full 360 points, which was amazing. Just by doing so, Fenyumo felt that he had taken a big step closer to the upper limit of divine power required for the demigod realm. More importantly, he could master this world bead. He has mastered the heaven-defying heaven-stealing technique. The secret method of this heaven-stealing technique is simply unheard of. Just thinking about it for a moment, Fenyumo roughly guessed how Mei Zheng killed the opponent's demigod strongman in the chaos-locking immortal 10,000 techniques forbidden formation. If the opponent's demigod strongman's actions were affected by the formation, restrictions, and all the divine equipment on his body was wiped out by the heaven-stealing technique, wouldn't it be like a lamb waiting to be slaughtered? The shocked Fenyumo was just shocked for a moment. With a move of his hand, he took out a golden dragon-shaped token and handed it respectfully to Xiaopingan. This token is the prince's order from the royal family of the Tianqin Empire. According to this order, the card can enjoy the princely treatment in the Tianqin Empire without any hindrance. This is my little wish. Please accept it, sir. If you have time in the future, sir, you are welcome to visit the Wind King Star territory. Xiaopingan glanced at Fenyumo and didn't say much. He just nodded and accepted the dragon-shaped token. Seeing Xiaopingan accept the token, Fenyumo showed a smile on his face. After bowing to Xiaopingan again as a disciple, he bowed and retreated from the secret room. A few seconds after Fenyumo left, another old man with silver hair entered the secret room and respectfully bowed to Xiaopingan as a disciple. Yun Wuying, the great elder of Dragon King sect in Broken Star Secret Realm, has met the Holy Master. Xiaopingan asked Yun Wuying to sit down in front of him, and then gave Yun Wuying the initiation. After the initiation, Yun Wuying integrated the Hoying world bead in more than 10 minutes, and also had the vision of becoming a demigod. I bet this elder Yun is about to advance to the level of demigod, and is just waiting for this final step. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 828. More than 10 days later. Xiaopingan flew out from the cube base in the sky, with a look of anger on his face. He turned around and cursed at the cube. What the hell, you actually want me to hand over my secret method and unique array? What a dream, I don't want to keep you here, I have my own place to stay, and I won't serve you anymore. Xiaopingan, who flew out of the cube base, looked at the sky in the distance. In the sky, a huge space channel was clearly visible, but the space channel had been blocked by a billowing black cloud. Looking from a distance, the space channel was like an abyss, like a bloody wound in the sky. The fortress of the Shadow Demon Army has been hidden in the Abyss Passage. The bustling battlefield in the past seemed extremely peaceful these past 2 days. There were very few summoned creatures in the sky and on the ground, and only a few were active. Xiaopingan, who cursed and left the cube fortress, didn't even think about it. He directly released his lightning ship. After entering the lightning ship turned into a streak of lightning and flew into the distance, disappearing in an instant. A few hours later, Xiaopingan's lightning boat had flown over an uninhabited desert hundreds of thousands of kilometers away from the cube fortress. It was jumping and flying. Suddenly, in the sky thousands of miles away, dense black lines like spider webs appeared on the child. With a loud rumbling sound, countless lightnings were released from the void. Golden snakes danced wildly. The lightning craft, which was originally invisible to the naked eye, suddenly seemed to have hit a spider. The insects on the net suddenly emerged from the high-speed flight state and directly stuck to the giant net. The door of the lightning boat opened, and Xiaoping'an flew out of the lightning boat. After putting the boat away, he looked at the sky around him warily and shouted, "Who is it?" The void shattered, and 3 figures walked out of the void, staring at Xiaoping'an. The man walking at the front was wearing black armor with a blood-red cape, a purple gold crown on his head, silver hair, a wrinkled face, wolf-like eyes, and a sharp sword in his hand. With demonic aura on his body, he was staring at Xiaoping'an with a ferocious smile. This was the Shadow Demon Prince of the Shadow Demon Army. Next to the Shadow Demon Prince, there were 2 strong demigods from the army of Shadow Demons. One of them was a demigod who also looked like a human being, transformed by the Shadow Demon. The other strong demigod, he is also a foreign race, with flames all over his body. Ha ha ha, Mei Zheng, I didn't expect that you would fall into my hands today. Prince Shadow Demon looked at Xiaoping'an, as if he was looking at a prey that he had already obtained. The battlefield of this war is not yours. A little summoner can come when he wants and leave when he wants. I said, I must take your head. Today, I will peel off your skin bit by bit and see you wailing in front of me. See who can help you. Ha ha ha. Xiaoping'an suddenly burst into laughter. Your Highness, I haven't seen you for a long time. I didn't expect you to be so conceited. You can fall into the same trap and the same bait twice. You can let go. I kept the spy at the Blood Front base on purpose. I didn't expect that your spy would actually pass the news on to you. Not bad, not bad. Although Xiaoping'an was speaking, the voice was not Xiaoping'an's at all, but seemed a bit old and deep. The Shadow Demon Prince's expression suddenly changed, as if he had thought of something, and was about to tear through the void and retreat, but he discovered that the void within a radius of hundreds of thousands of miles had become extremely solid like an iron barrel, completely banned by secret law. The laughing Xiaoping'an's figure slowly changed, and gradually turned into the appearance of Xiangbai, and then human demigods wearing armor emerged from the ground and quickly stood in the sky. In all directions, including Xiangbai, 5 human demigods surrounded Prince Shadow Demon and the 2 people around him. Xiangbai. Prince Shadow Demon's eyes instantly turned red, and he gritted his teeth and spit out 2 words. These 2 words were full of hatred and a little panic. Of course it's me. The news that Mei Zheng fell out with Zhou Yan and the Tiandao guards in our fortress, and refused to hand over the array and secret method of his exclusive formation to kill your demigods, is just a show we played. That's it, this big drama has spread to the Blood Front base, and it's aroused. You really know it? Xiangbai looked at the Shadow Demon Prince with a smile, and sighed with satisfaction. This big drama was actually Mei Zheng's idea, he said, only if he turns against the Tiandao guards, leaves the fortress in anger, and creates opportunities for you to kill him, can you be fished out? I didn't expect that I could really fish you out. Mei Zheng has made another great contribution. Without any more nonsense, the war broke out in an instant. His Highness the Prince of Shadow Demon and the 2 demigods he brought fled from 3 directions at the same time, trying to break out. What awaited them was the Chaos Lock Immortal in the hands of Xiangbai and the 4 human demigods. The formation disc of the Grand Forbidden Formation of 10,000 methods. 3 formation discs flew out, and the Shadow Demon Prince and the 2 remaining demigods were trapped by the formation discs at the same time. Xiangbai personally trapped the Shadow Demon Prince, while the other 2 demigods of the Shadow Demon Army were respectively trapped by 2 strong human demigods using the Chaos Lock Immortal 10,000 technique sealing formation. Goohoo! How's it going? Is this formation okay? Xiangbai looked at the Shadow Demon Prince who was completely condensed by the formation with a smile. The sacred armor and long sword had already appeared on Xiangbai's body, and the surging battle intention suddenly rose from Xiangbai. I forgot to tell you that the name of this formation is the Chaos Locking Immortal 10,000 Techniques Forbidden Formation. This formation is indeed the formation that Mei Zheng has exclusive control of. He has already put this formation. The refining method of the formation was completely taught to the heavenly guards. He used this formation to kill 3 of you demigods that day. Although I don't have Mei Zheng's secret method, but with the help of this formation, I can do it today. I'll kill you here. Prince Shadow Demon has completely changed his expression at this time, because he has discovered the power of this formation disc. This formation disc completely restrains the ability of the demigod, not only restricting his movements, but also making the surroundings of his body completely stagnant. If he falls into the chaotic mud and is cut off from the power of the 5 elements that he can mobilize, in a demigod-level duel, if one party falls into the large formation controlled by the other party, the result will be it's like entering the battlefield preset by the opponent. If the disparity in strength between the two sides is not large, the side with the help of the formation will be able to occupy the advantageous location, and the final result will be completely tilted towards the side with the formation. If this array can be popularized among all the demigods in the Tiandao Guard army, it will be equivalent to giving all the demigod warriors in the Tiandao Guard army one more weapon, which will have a great impact on all battlefields in the entire Tiandao secret realm. The situation has an impact. Yes, although Xiangbai and others can no longer be empowered by the Holy Master to master the heaven-stealing technique, the chaos-locking immortal 10,000 techniques forbidden formation is under their control. In the duel between these semi-god level experts, this array can also create an excellent fighting environment for them, suppressing the opponent's strength and actions. Roar! Prince Shadow Demon instantly transformed into the form of Shadow Demon, roared angrily, and began to output madly at the formation. Thunder light flashed in the formation, and a counter-attack began. Countless lightning beams began to hit the Shadow Demon Prince. At the same time, Xiangbai also moved. Compared to Prince Shadow Demon, who was restricted by the formation and bombarded by the lightning of the formation, his actions in the formation were not affected at all. The moment the Shadow Demon Prince dispersed the chaos around him, Xiangbai's long sword had already slashed to his side. Rumble! The formation began to tremble, and a fierce battle broke out in the formation. Almost at the same time, where the cube fortress is located, Xiaopingan, Zhou Yan, and more than 100 elites in the fortress have all flown out from the fortress. All human summoners in the fortress are all ready to go. The war is coming today. Among the more than 100 fortress elites who followed Xiaopingan and Zhou Yan out of the fortress, there were 7 semi-god level experts. The others were almost all summoners who had received the initiation from Master Xiaopingan these days. The military leader has already fought with Prince Shadow Demon. The ones who intercepted you this time are indeed Prince Shadow Demon and 2 other demigods. In addition to the military leader, we have 4 demigods and 5 demigods over there. In the third round, we have an absolute advantage. Now it depends on what happens here. Zhou Yan said to Xiaopingan excitedly. Hearing that the Shadow Demon Prince actually went to intercept him in person and was blocked by Xiangbai, Xiaopingan felt a little regretful. He originally wanted to cut off the prince's head himself, but he didn't expect. Forget it, I have already made enough contributions. Even if I have one more Shadow Demon Prince's head, it will be nothing more. This kind of opportunity to make contributions should be reserved for those who need it more. Xiaopingan comforted himself. Zhou Yan, Xiaopingan, and the elite masters who flew out of the fortress rushed towards the abyss passage. Some of these elite experts were tasked with protecting Xiaopingan. Everyone was as fast as lightning. In a short time, they flew into the void more than 2,000 miles away from the abyss passage. They did not encounter any obstacles along the way. When they saw the black smoke screen in the sky in front of them, Xiaopingan stopped. Come down, and then everyone stopped. Just here, Xiaopingan nodded and took a deep breath. Is this right here? Zhou Yan asked doubtfully. Xiaopingan nodded, that's fine here. No one else said a word, and they all looked at Xiaopingan with expectant and slightly doubtful eyes. This place was still thousands of kilometers away from the abyss passage, and the Shadow Demon's war fortress was hidden in the abyss passage. It was so far away. At such a distance, almost no spells can attack the opponent's war fortress. Even 100 demigods cannot force the Shadow Demon's fortress to automatically pop out of the Abyss Passage. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 829. The premise of the battle that everyone is preparing for today is to force the Shadow Demon Army's fortress out of the Abyss Passage. Xiaopingan knew everyone's doubts and expectations, but he didn't explain anything, because there was no need to explain. In the eyes of everyone, Xiaopingan looked at the abyss channel thousands of meters away, took a deep breath, and the person's expression suddenly turned solemn, and the next second, terrifying divine power fluctuations emanated from Xiaopingan's body and shot straight into the sky. The summoners around Xiaopingan felt at this moment that the aura of Xiaopingan was like a giant, a mountain, still expanding infinitely. The aura of his whole person reached the sky and the earth. Suddenly, the height of the sky there was a fluttering, rainbow-like brilliance appearing in the sky, shining brilliantly in the sky. In the light, a heavenly gate appeared faintly, and then behind the heavenly gate, a golden beam of light shot directly from the Tianmen and fell on Xiaopingan. In an instant, Xiaopingan's whole body was enveloped by an aura of incomparable sanctity and majesty. This is. All the summoners present were shocked. They are all summoners in the Nine Yang realm and the demigod realm. They are the strongest and best among the summoners. They are well informed and everyone feels that Xiaopingan was summoning something, but everyone saw the secret summoning method of the scale and scene at once. Amid everyone's shocked gazes, behind Xiaopingan, shrouded in a pillar of light, a huge summoning door tore through the void and faintly appeared behind him. Zhou stared at Xiaopingan with a look of astonishment and shock, because the summoning gate behind Xiaopingan was too majestic and too big. The summoning gate was made of gold and jade, and it was full of mysteries. The divine text, one end of the summoning gate is connected to the ground, and the other end is straight into the sky, with a height of more than 100 kilometers. A group of strong men stood in front of the summoning gate, and had to raise their heads, raise their necks, and cast their eyes on the highest. Only at the top of the zenith can one barely see the full picture of the summoning gate. In such a summoning gate, everyone feels as small as an ant. It can't be a summoned giant. The giant summoned by the top giant's summoning technique is only a few thousand meters high. There is no need for such a summoning gate, and there is no such big momentum. A summoner in the semi-god realm was shocked. He murmured to himself, and suddenly, he thought of something. His eyes widened suddenly, and he swallowed a mouthful of saliva. A legendary summoning spell suddenly flashed in his mind. That summoning spell made his body, as if there was a burst of electricity flowing through him. He felt a slight tremor. Could it be a god-level summoning technique? God-level summoning. That is the most powerful summoning technique in the minds of all summoners, but this summoning technique only exists in legends. Even in places like the secret realm of heaven, everyone has only heard of it in the ancient times that cannot be traced back. Some of the powerful men fighting in the secret realm of heaven can perform god-level summoning techniques. All god-level summoning spells no longer summon mortals, but unimaginable characters from epic myths. Such a thought does not only appear in one person's mind, but when this thought appears, behind a huge summoning gate that is hundreds of kilometers high, there is almost the same height as the summoning gate, a huge figure like a hill. He began to appear behind the summoning door, stepped out of the summoning door, and appeared in front of everyone. It was a god nearly 100 miles tall, with lightning like lightning flashing all over his body. The god's eyes were as bright as two scorching suns. The god's face was strong and resolute. His upper body was naked, revealing his chest and muscles that were bulging like a hill. There were several golden hoops on the wrists of the god. The god just breathed out slightly, and the wind and clouds surged in a radius of 100 miles. The summoner standing next to Xiaopinggan felt that there was a tornado rolling in the sky. The god who walked out of the summoning door stood in the sky, looking down at everything. Everyone was like ants at the feet of the god. The floating clouds in the sky only reached the knee of the god. In order to see the face of the summoned god clearly, the summoners around Xiaopinggan couldn't help but fly back, and they could barely see what Xiaopinggan summoned. God-level summoning technique. A summoner finally couldn't help but screamed. Yes, God-level summoning. Only God-level summoning can summon a godlike figure. Everyone's eyes changed when they looked at Xiaopinggan. There's one more. Another summoner screamed. Yes, Xiaopinggan summoned not one god, but two gods, because behind a huge summoning door, another figure of the same tall god appeared. As soon as the figure appeared, he stepped out in one step. The door of summons. Two extremely strong gods with lightning flashing all over their bodies stood in the sky, majestic and powerful. The two sons of the Kuai family obey the order and bring out the battle fortress of the Shadow Demon army in the Abyss Passage in front. Xiaopinggan directly ordered to the two summoned gods. The two tall gods spoke at the same time, saluting Xiaopinggan and taking orders. Their voices vibrated in the void like thunder. Kuai will obey the law. As soon as he finished speaking, the two sons of the Kuai family who were summoned by Xiaopinggan flew towards the Abyss Passage thousands of miles away. They were hundreds of miles away in just one step. As soon as the two gods moved, it was like a storm passing through the sky. The whistling airflow is like a huge wind tunnel, sucking in all the clouds in the sky and tearing them into pieces. On the ground, the wind is howling, flying sand and rocks. The black smoke that covers the sky and the Abyss Passage is not needed yet. The second son of the Kuai family made a move, but was already dispersed by the whistling air current around them, and the two sons of the Kuai family flew directly into the Abyss Passage. The second son of the Kuai family was a powerful god summoned by Yishan. This was Xiaopinggan's first time trying to summon him. To be honest, the effect shocked him. In order to summon the second son of the Kuai family, Xiaopinggan spent a whole time this time. 360,000 points of divine power, this is the highest level summoning that this summoning technique can achieve. If it weren't for the divine crystal provided by the blood edge base, he would have to go without eating or drinking for several years before the secret mandala could recover his divine power before he could perform such a summoning spell. Grandma, this summoning spell is really not something ordinary people can perform. Xiaopinggan used it once and felt like he was going to collapse. Xiaopinggan took out the dragon blood marrow and drank a drop, and then he felt that his body quickly recovered. Master Zhou, let the fortress prepare. Xiaopinggan said to Zhou Yan. Valley threshold. Zhou Yan nodded and waved his hand. The huge figure of the cube fortress slowly flew towards the side. At the same time, the various planes of the cube fortress began to glow, and thousands of small cubes began to glow. Floating from all planes of the fortress, energy such as wind, thunder, water, and fire began to gather on those small cubes, ready to go. Just 2 minutes later, in the chaotic Abyss Passage thousands of miles away, the figures of the two sons of the Kuai family appeared behind the passage. The two powerful gods were flashing with golden light, and thunder was rolling around their bodies. They held each other with 4 hands. The blood-red spherical fortress holding the army of shadow demons flew out of the Abyss Passage with overwhelming force. Countless tentacles on the spherical fortress of the shadow demon army were waving and struggling wildly. Some tentacles were whipping the two powerful gods like whips, and some tentacles were spitting out flames, thunder, black smoke, and poisonous water on the two men. However, no matter how the fortress was attacked, the entire fortress was still brought out from the Abyss Passage by the two Hercules. The moment the spherical fortress was brought out of the abyss, the void and the earth within tens of thousands of miles were shaking violently. Then, the two sons of the Kuai family directly brought the fortress into the void more than 3,000 kilometers away from Xiaoping'an and the others. One of the two sons grabbed a few waving tentacles of the fortress, and with fierce force, he directly moved the spherical fortress. It was thrown from the sky to the ground like a ball at a terrifying speed. Boom! Just like a comet hitting a planet, a terrifying shockwave suddenly swept across tens of millions of square kilometers of ground, like the end of the world. Just like this, countless cracks appeared on the surface of the spherical fortress. Before the fortress could take off, the sky darkened again. The other of Kuai's two sons was already carrying a mountain range hundreds of miles long. From the sky, he pulled a mountain range like a huge boulder towards the spherical fortress. Bang it down. That power is unimaginable. Amid the violent roaring and shaking, the fortress of the Shadow Demon Army, which had cracks appeared, instantly fell apart. After destroying the fortress, the two sons of Kuai who completed the feat turned into light and shadow and disappeared into the sky. Countless alien masters and demigods rushed out of the fortress in panic, like headless flies. Amidst the rumbling thunder, the cube fortress of the human army accelerated violently, directly crushing the chaotic Shadow Demon Army. Kill! Zhou Yan roared angrily, and with a wave of his hand, he tore the void apart, stepped into the void with one step, and appeared thousands of miles away in an instant. Xiaoping'an and other half-body strongmen and elites stepped into the void at the same time. The passage appeared in the most chaotic place of the Shadow Demon Army. Xiaolefu was also summoned by Xiaoping'an. As soon as Xiaolefu and Xiaoping'an arrived here, Xiaoping'an immediately focused on the two demigods. He yelled, "No one can shoot me!" and waved his hands. Chaos Lock Immortal 10,000 Techniques. The Forbidden Formation array was activated, and the opponent's two demigods were immediately enveloped in the array. Xiaolefu was also very fast. Almost at the same time, he also threw out a formation disc and locked another demigod. Ha ha ha, it's my turn. Fen Yumo, a member of the royal family of the Tianqin Empire in the Fenwang Star territory, laughed loudly. When he saw a Tauran demigod rushing towards him, he sacrificed the formation disc of Chaos Locking Immortal 10,000 Techniques. Forbidden Formation has locked onto one again. Zhou Yan and other demigod experts also suddenly found their opponents. The demigods of the Shadow Demon Army who were still in the fortress were all intercepted, and none of them escaped. Xiaoping'an and Fen Yumo are not the only ones who possess the Chaos Locking Immortal 10,000 Techniques Forbidden Formation Disc. Many of the other elites have already refined the formation disc, and they just happen to use it at this time. On the sky and the ground, one after another Chaos Locking Immortal and 10,000 Techniques Forbidden Formation appeared, locking many masters of the Shadow Demon Army in the formation disc. The cube fortress rolled over and smashed many 9 Sun Realm masters who were fleeing the Shadow Demon Army into pieces in the sky. The small cubes floating on the cube fortress finally began to show their power, and tens of thousands of brilliance of wind, thunder, water, and fire came over. Start strangulation directly. The power of the fortress is too terrifying. Ordinary 9 Sun Realm experts are completely incompetent in front of this war fortress. As soon as they get close, they will be seriously injured by the firepower of the fortress and fall from the sky one after another. After just a moment of contact, the army of shadow demons began to collapse, and the army of human summoners who had been waiting in the fortress rushed out like tigers emerging from their cages, and began to form organized teams to strangle the fleeing shadows. The master of the demon army. In this case, those alien masters who were slow to escape were either mercilessly bombarded by the cube fortress, or were surrounded and killed by the human summoners who rushed out of the fortress. The situation on the entire battlefield began to appear one-sided. The morale of the strong human race is like a rainbow, and the sound of killing is loud. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 830. The light and shadow in the space layer flew by, and a pair of huge light wings spread out behind Xiaoping'an, flying freely in the space layer, avoiding one space turbulence after another, like an elf in this space. This space layer is confusing and traceless, like an endless sea of storms. Entering it is like looking for a needle in the sea, making it difficult to distinguish between east, west, north, and south. But in fact, Xiaopinghan discovered that as long as the light wings behind him unfolded, he would the sense of direction and distance in this space layer has been raised to a whole new level. As long as it is where he wants to go in his head, his strong intuition and induction will let him know where to fly to reach the destination. Won't get lost. Not long after flying in this space layer, Xiaopinghan passed through a familiar space turbulence and suddenly emerged from the space layer. Jinglao's peaceful and leisurely space secret realm with the singing of birds and the fragrance of flowers appeared in front of Xiaopinghan. In this secret realm, birds are chirping and cicadas are chirping. Mr. Jing is leisurely drinking tea and reading in the bamboo pavilion. A giant panda is lying at Mr. Jing's feet, sleeping soundly. Everything looks so natural and out of this world. Fight. As soon as Xiaopinghan arrived, Mr. Jing noticed it. He put down his book, stood up, and looked at Xiaopinghan with a smile. "My little friend, you completed this task so quickly." Xiaopinghan came to Jinglao's bamboo pavilion in a flash, and smiled at Jinglao. "Fortunately, I did not disgrace my life." As he spoke, Xiaopinghan had already killed the 6 alien demigods who had killed him. The things were taken out and placed on the table. Those 6 things have horns, scales, bones, a pair of eyes, 2 long nails, and a weird-shaped skull. Each thing has a powerful demigod aura on it. Anyone who understands will recognize it at a glance. Know what this means. The battle that finally destroyed the Shadow Demon army was nothing to Xiaopinghan. He used the chaos-locking immortal 10,000 technique sealing formation to trap 2 demigods from the other side, while Xiaolefu trapped 1 demigod from the other side. Xiaolefu, who possesses the peak strength of Xiaopinghan's 9-yang realm, used old methods to kill the opponent's demigods before the chaos-locking immortal 10,000 technique's forbidden formation collapsed. As for Xiaopinghan, in the Great Formation, facing the opponent's 2 demigods who were trapped by the formation, he first killed one of the opponent's demigods, and then joined forces with Xiaolefu, who rushed in to join him. When the formation was about to collapse, he killed the remaining one as well. In the last battle, after the mission of killing the 3 demigods of the alien race was successfully completed, and then chasing and killing a few short-sighted stragglers, the battle came to an end. Xiaopinghan just fought with Xiong after Bai and others met. They declined Xiong Bai's offer to stay and quietly left the Blood Front base. Everyone thought that Xiaopinghan was embarking on a new journey to find the 9 heavens' divine spring. "Come, sit down, drink tea." Jinglao's eyebrows and eyes were smiling, summoning Xiaopinghan to sit down, and personally poured Xiaopinghan a cup of tea. "I have heard here that the Blood Front base is working with Shadow. The demon army won a great victory in the battle. My friend killed 6 demigods on his own. Xiongbai killed the Shadow Demon Prince. None of the powerful demigods in the Shadow Demon army escaped. They were all killed. Killing the fallen, the strong men at the peak of the 9-yang realm below the level of demigods were destroyed, and even their war fortresses were destroyed. This battle led by the Blood Front base shocked the entire Tiandao secret realm. The entire Tiandao secret realm is now we are all looking for my little friend. What I have done in this secret realm of heaven has made great contributions to the human race. It can be described as great achievements." Xiaopinghan took a sip of tea, put down the cup, and smiled slightly. "Thank you, Mr. Zheng. I just contributed to the human race and did what I should do. I have just advanced to demigod. If I leave the heaven like this, my conscience can't get through the divine realm. In this secret realm of heaven, if it weren't for the brave fighting and perseverance of many powerful martyrs from the human race for countless years, I'm afraid there would be no Jushin divine spring left. Besides, I only killed 6 of the opponents. He's just a demigod, so this won't be difficult for you, Mr. Zheng." Jinglao shook his head slightly. For me, it is not difficult to kill the opponent's 6 demigods. However, after the formation disk refining method of the chaos locking immortal 10,000 techniques forbidden formation left behind by my little friend, but it can become another powerful weapon for many powerful masters of the human race to crush the foreign races in the secret realm of heaven. The merits are immeasurable. This time, I gave the 108 people the Holy Master initiation and passed on the skills, so that the 108 people also had the help of the Chaos Lock Immortal. The 10,000 techniques forbidden array can fight against and kill foreign demigods. When some of them advance to demigods in the future, they will surely become the mainstay of the Tiandao Guard army. The impact of these two great achievements is inestimable. Because of this, Tiandao the Guard army has just awarded Xiao the title of Emperor. Over the past tens of thousands of years, Xiao is the person who has obtained the title of Emperor the fastest after entering the secret realm of heaven. Yes, Xiaopinggan is also an emperor at this moment. To be precise, Mei Zheng is already an emperor. The name of emperor is a title given by the Tiandao guards to the top powerhouses who have made great contributions to the human race in the secret realm of Tiandao. The ultimate honor, traveling through all realms of the universe, Mei Zheng's complete honorific title in the secret realm of heaven at this moment is the demon-suppressing emperor. The Purple Flame Emperor of the Tianwang sect was also an emperor before. Xiaopingyan didn't quite understand the meaning of the emperor's name at that time, but he understands it now. How difficult it is to obtain the honorary title of emperor can be seen from Xiongbai. As the military leader of the Blood Front base, Xiongbai has not yet obtained the title of emperor. Mad God has also entered the secret realm of heaven before and killed many strong men from foreign races, but Mad God has never obtained the title of emperor. This title of emperor is really not something that ordinary demigods can win. Xiaopingyan won the title of emperor this time not because he killed 6 demigods and destroyed a war fortress of the Shadow Demon army, but because he killed 6 demigods and destroyed a war fortress of the Shadow Demon army. Because he was able to initiate the Hoying boundary beads and take out the chaos-locking immortal 10,000 techniques forbidden formation that could increase the combat effectiveness of the entire Tiandao Guards army. The latter two things are the most important thing for the Tiandao Guards army. Valued. Now the Tiandao Guards are still collecting Hoying boundary beads everywhere, and are planning to find Xiaopingyan to initiate and create a group of masters who can kill the opponent's demigods in the future. Guyat. In addition to the title of Emperor Zun, the Tiandao Guards directly gave Xiaopingyan 200 million military merit points, but the 200 million military merit points were basically of no use to Xiaopingyan at this moment. When Xiaopingyan left the Blood Front base, just spent more than 50 million military merit points to clear out the boundary beads in the Blood Front base's inventory, and also took away less than half of the stored divine crystals. He can no longer use those world beads, but there are still people who can use them. As for the divine crystals, Xiaopingyan can use them himself in case of emergencies. My little friend, do you know that the world bead you initiated has become a treasure now? Countless people are looking for it and it has become a valuable treasure. In the past 2 days, I have been enjoying my time here and I have received calls from some old friends and divine descendant families. After asking, some are even willing to exchange the 9 Yang Realm Divine Spring for the Boundary Pearl. Jinglao said with a smile. The value of that world bead was indeed underestimated before. Thinking of the Hoying world bead, Xiaopingyan also shook his head and smiled. The Hoying world bead's secret method of stealing the sky cannot kill demigods, but the heaven-stealing secret technique paired with the Chaos Immortal locking 10,000 techniques forbidden formation array is unparalleled. It can allow the strong men in the 9 Sun realm to have the strength to fight against demigods. It is no wonder that some people are willing to use the 9 Sun realms Xuanhuan came to exchange for a boundary bead, which Xiaopingyan didn't expect. If the person who sold the Hoying boundary bead to him knew that the Hoying boundary bead could now be exchanged for a divine spring in the 9 Yang realm, he would probably regret it. Their thighs will turn purple, but if they don't receive the initiation themselves, it will be useless even if those people get the Hoying boundary beads. Little friend, everyone is paying attention now. The more honor you have, the more dangerous you are. Little friend, you must be careful. Mr. Jing looked at Xiaopinggan with a wise look and reminded him earnestly, now you want Mei Zheng's head. I'm afraid there are no less people than those who want Xiaopinggan's head. As long as I kill you, no one will be able to use the secret method of Holy Master initiation of the World Pearl. Thank you, Mr. Jing, for reminding me. I understand, Xiaopinggan nodded. This was also the reason why he quietly left the Blood Front base. He wanted to continue to stay at the Blood Front base. I'm afraid those who will confront the Blood Front base next time will be aliens. Of 10 war fortresses. What are your plans now, little friend? I will return to the god-killing insect realm to clear up a few things first, and then I will return to the Yuankai world. Once the matters in the Yuankai world are settled, I will have no worries, and I can safely go to the god realm of the heavens and attack the realm of the gods. Xiaopinggan is full of ambition and has made up his mind. For a powerful demigod to enter the realm of the gods and attack the realm of gods, it is tantamount to putting oneself to death and then rebirth, just like a phoenix going through tribulations and then being reborn in nirvana. Here, I will drink tea instead of wine, and I wish you, little friend, to embark on the road to godhood as soon as possible. Lao Jing smiled and raised his tea. By the way, Mr. Jing, what kind of place is in the realm of the gods? Xiaopinggan asked curiously. Mr. Jing shook his head slightly. I have never been to that place, and I don't know the details. It's just that when I read the notes of the gods, I left a 16-word description of the gods' realm. Which 16 characters? Xiaopinggan asked curiously. The vast world of mortals, hell and heaven, are ruled by gods and men. Xiaopinggan savored these 16 words carefully, and felt a little shocked in his heart. He felt that these 16 words had infinite meaning. According to some classic descriptions of the universe, 1,000 worlds are equal to a galaxy. Could it be that the gods' domains represent places and spaces the size of a galaxy? If the world of mortals represents secular life, what does hell and heaven mean? As for the co-governance of gods and humans, it means that the manifestation of the power of the gods can be seen in the realm of the gods. Xiaopinggan thought for a long time, but couldn't figure out what the god realm of the heavens was like. Xiaopinggan stayed with Mr. Jing in this secret space for 3 days. After 3 days, Xiaopinggan said goodbye to Mr. Jing, left this secret realm alone, and returned directly to the god-killing insect realm.